But I want to welcome everyone to our webinar tonight. Tonight we have a few of our chapter presidents joining us to kind of talk about some of the things they've been working on and kind of just share some best practices and kick some ideas around, because I know that this has been a truly unique experience for our student leaders, and I think there's definitely some value in providing an opportunity for our students and our alumni to hear from some of our student leaders and the work that they've been doing. So I'm Noah Borton. I'm Senior Director of Educational Programs for Delta Upsilon, and joined by three panelists tonight. And I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves. Gavin, why don't you go first?
Yeah, so hey guys, Gavin Olson here. I'm the current chapter president of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University out in Daytona Beach, Florida. And I'm excited to chat with y'all.
And AJ?
Hi, everyone. My name is AJ Fidanzo. I'm the chapter president at Bradley University in Peoria, Illinois.
Great. And Cole?
I'm Cole Buchart. I am the current chapter president, or the exiting chapter president pretty soon, of the Indiana chapter in Bloomington, Indiana.
Great. All right. And welcome Ryan, Dylan, Brock, and Jeff. So Ryan, are you still out in San Luis Obispo?
Yes, sir. I'm originally from Seattle, so going home isn't exactly an option for me right now, but California is not the worst place to be. So
Sure. Well, enjoy some sun, man.
Yeah.
Dylan, where are you from?
I am still in Arlington at the moment. I'm the current chapter president of the University of Texas at Arlington.
Great. All right. So are you still on campus?
I am. I'm still in my apartment right here.
Okay, great. Well, welcome, Dylan.
Thank
Brock, welcome. What chapter are you with, and where are you right now?
Hey, I'm from the Embry-Riddle chapter with Gavin, and yeah, I had to go home for the little bit, but it's been good. It's been really good.
All right. Well, we'll use you to fact check Gavin on all the stuff he brags about.
Sounds good.
All right. And Jeff, where are you? Jeff, are you with us? Well, Jeff's from Oregon State. He's our Oregon State advisor. Welcome, Jeff. All right. Well, maybe to get started, want to just hear from folks on what you all have been doing, and maybe just a few highlights. Maybe Gavin, I think we were talking the other day, and it sounded like you guys have been pretty active. So why don't you just share maybe some of the highlights you guys have been focused on?
Yeah, for sure. You know, like Noah kind of prefaced at the beginning of this, everybody's you know, in the same boat. All of our Greek organizations on campus are pretty much in the same situation. You know, all the DU chapters. So we're just trying to keep a positive outlook. There's a lot of stuff, you know, that we were trying to do to finish off the semester. We've really improved as a chapter this last year or so with a lot of our younger guys. So, you know, we had to switch earlier than we wanted to the online platform. So really just kind of trying to keep the momentum up. We created a couple different committee groups to reach out to our brothers to ensure safety, grades, because I know they did the whole pass-fail system as well, which has been awesome. So just kind of making sure we're still in touch with our brothers. I know it's pretty difficult with the online platform, especially being in Daytona Beach. You know, brothers would much rather be down at the beach hanging out all day than hopping on an hour or two Zoom call meeting to go over some chapter stuff that may not make any sense to them since we're not on campus. So really just stuff like that. Our alumni have been awesome. A lot of them are working from home as well, so they've been able to hop on to our Zoom meetings. It's been really great for me to get to know a lot of them. We have our 10-year anniversary this upcoming fall, so being able to get to know them a lot more intimately will help us in this event, rather than it being a get to knowing each other event. It'll be more you know, catching up and sharing some fun stories. And then the last thing I'll hit on real quick is we've just been working on social media outlook. We've never done any summer recruitment stuff, and I know Brock, he's our current VP of recruitment. him and I have been kind of tag teaming with a couple of our committee members on really increasing the use of our social media, really reaching out to a lot of incoming freshmen, not really knowing what the fall is going to look like, if it's going to be online, if it's going to be in person. So really trying to make those connections and help these incoming freshmen who don't know what's going to happen, giving them some clarity of what the school's like, how classes are, who to take as professors, all that kind of good stuff. So that's kind of been what we've been focusing on the last couple weeks.
Unmute myself there. Great. Thanks, Gavin. AJ, how about what have been some highlights for you guys at Bradley?
So similar to Gavin, we've had the opportunity to spend a lot more time on things relating to alumni, recruitment. But besides for those things, which we'll probably talk about more in depth later on, we have taken this opportunity to get our hands dirty with some of the things past execs may not have had the time for because we're not on campus. These things include, but aren't limited to, reworking bylaws, reviewing and changing our executive structure, putting in written roles and responsibilities for all of our exec and ex officio positions, starting a fundraising campaign, setting up each exec member with an alumni advisor, getting work done on the chapter house now that it's vacant for a few extra months. I could go on, but those are some like the big things that we've had the opportunity to do now more than ever, and we're really trying to take advantage of the time we have.
Okay, great. And Cole at Indiana, what have been some key things you guys have been focused on?
Yeah, so obviously I can echo a lot of the things that AJ and Gavin were saying about the general operations of the chapter. Initially, whenever this was all happening, it was clear our priority as an executive board and from the corporation board we work with and alumni that we weren't going to let this diminish the fraternity experience if we can at all help it. So it's been a top of our mind to make sure that we can continue as many of the functions of the chapter that would have happened normally. So that's included things like we did a virtual initiation with the help of Mr. Borden and our academic scholarship functions. We usually have a dinner at the chapter house, but instead we held that virtually, and having chapter meetings and different social meetups with the brothers and NCAA tournaments and football tournaments online, and trying to get the brothers together so that people feel like they're not alone, because a lot of people are in an isolated situation. Also looking into the future, we've been spending a lot of time working on the operations of the fraternity so we can welcome the freshmen in. And to echo Gavin's point, we do recognize that the freshmen coming in this year are going to be in this totally unique opportunity, and it's hard for us to know how that's going to affect us when that happens, but giving them every opportunity when they come into our fraternity to feel at home, just like the brothers right now can feel at home still. That's been our top priority and what we've been up to.
Great. Thanks, Cole. And, also I'd love to hear what's going on with our other guests that have joined us. So, Ryan, maybe give us an update on what you guys have been focused on with Cal Poly.
Yeah, so it's we're in an interesting situation here because the West Coast was affected so heavily. So trying to keep in contact with guys has been one of the big things. Kind of like what Cole was saying, we've set up a bunch of just random esports tournaments, just trying to keep guys as involved and keeping the fraternity experience going where they can feel connected. Because we do have a lot of guys that are stuck at home right now with nothing to do, as the rest of you do as well. Just trying to keep them as involved as possible. And then kind of mirroring some of the stuff that AJ was talking about. We've had a lot of stuff on the back burner for years, really, ideas for big philanthropies or stuff like that we just haven't had time to actually get down and work on. Now, as sad as it is, we've been granted that time. And so we've really just, me and my exec board, trying to grind on stuff that we can hopefully get going in the fall or potentially winter whenever this all calms down.
Sure. Great. And Dylan, how about in Arlington? What have you guys been doing? What have you been up to?
Yeah, so I just officially became the president probably last month. So just getting used to everything that's going on. We've just been focusing on the brothers, like everyone else was mentioning. just reaching out to them a lot. I made our exec each have like a list of members that they need to check on, along with I check on everyone. Just trying to focus towards the fall, like look towards the future. So I'm looking into making a mentor program to where each of our exec has a committee. They add their brothers to that committee, and bi-weekly they change. So every brother could see what it's like to be in that exec position, which this would help get us some guys that are really motivated to be in that exec in the future. So that's what I've been working on right now. And then we're also focusing on social media. So we are looking to launch a new video just showing our brotherhood, and then do some educational sessions like going live with some organizations on campus. I could just teach someone what they could do during this time.
Cool. Great. Thanks. And Brock, I'm guessing you're pretty focused on recruitment.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of still. I still got a lot of things going on as far as recruitment goes. Gavin has been a superstar of a president, I will say, just because of how much help he's been in this transitioning process. But there's still so many behind the scenes sort of actions that are going on, and things that we can do as an exec board to work for recruitment in the fall. Planning our formal fall recruitment events, sort of getting our heads around what that might look like. If we have to do something virtually, if we have to go back to classes and we get our normal fall recruitment back. There's a lot of things that we're kind of going back and forth about, different ideas, even things as far as little things, planning when we can meet up, making a little schedule and a timeline for us to work through the summer with each other online and virtually. And then, of course, things like t-shirts designs and just a bunch of things. So we're keeping busy for sure, but it definitely takes all hands on deck just to help each other through this time for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Thanks, Brock. Well, since you're, giving Gavin some love here, maybe Gavin, we'll go to you with the next question. I think clearly it's been a challenge for you guys. You guys are spread across, literally the entire country right now with the student draw of Embry-Riddle, and there's a lot going on, and you guys are in a pretty academically rigorous situation, and clearly a stressful time and a lot up in the air. So just talk to me about what have you done to try to keep morale up? How are you keeping the positive energy going? And really, what have you found you've been able to contribute as a chapter president in that way?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things, like in looking into the role of president, you're overseeing your entire exec board, and you kind of set the tone in a sense for how the chapter is going to run and how it's going to operate. So I've really made it kind of a point of focus for me. Just kind of keeping that positive energy, keeping the outlook for fall strong. We just got good news that our school is looking to be back on time in the fall. So really excited about that. Really just kind of trying, like you said, keeping morale up. We're doing quiplash games. I don't know if you guys know what that is. Just really like fun, kind of edgy kind of games that college students like to play. Stuff like that. Our alumni put together this pretty cool trivia night that we're doing on a weekly basis to raise money and have fun. So just really, I've taken a lot of it on myself. Like I just said, we're kind of leading the charge with the flag. And I think a lot of people are responding well to that. When you're in an organization, your leader at the top is doing all this kind of stuff. I'm still a part of the student court on campus, so we're still meeting. Like a couple of us, our finals kind of just ended. So it's been a pretty crazy couple weeks. So for myself and a lot of our exec board's members, for us to stay as focused as we have been and publish and post as much as we've been doing and staying in contact, I think it's really been eye-opening to the rest of the chapter, because they don't get to see a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff. Some of them don't care, which is okay. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we do that doesn't need recognition, and we're not in the business of recognition. So it's just been really cool to lead that charge and see the positive response we're getting. Alumni, I'm getting phone calls every evening from alumni saying, hey, I love what you guys are doing with the chapter. Could I, be a part of this? Could I do this? At certain points, we had more alumni than active brothers in our chapter meetings, which is pretty cool, being a chapter size of about 30. So it's been really fun. I've just been kind of trying to keep a positive mindset about it. There's not a whole lot of stuff we can do. So just really trying to affect the tangible things that we can. I know AJ was talking about doing some stuff that, the chapter hasn't done in a while or has been looking to do. Kind of wanting to echo that. There's a lot of stuff. Every semester you come in with a lot of goals, and as the semester goes on, you kind of have to put some on the back burner. But, as we've gotten more time to kind of really think and plan stuff out, that's been a really kind of a blessing in disguise. And I think we'll come out stronger than some of the other organizations, just because of how focused and cohesive we've been over the last couple weeks.
Great. Thanks, Gavin. Yeah, I know that energy is really important, and that becomes kind of infectious. And I think even what I love hearing you talk about there is there's so much focus not on what we haven't achieved or what isn't happening, but on what is happening, right? And so such a great way to frame that. And you're talking about achieving your goals. And Cole, I know you and I have talked a lot about kind of the goals that you would set forth at the start of the year. And I think, you stepped into the role with a pretty ambitious platform as chapter president. And so, talk to me about kind of how you've handled this transition and how you're trying to still work toward success.
Absolutely. So our election schedule has the new officers come in at the beginning of each school year. So we came in, like Mr. Borden or Noah said, that we were ambitious. We wanted to tackle a lot of issues within the chapter culturally and operationally that I felt were bringing us down or limiting us. And the issues come usually from our size. So we just crossed over 200 active members within the fraternity. So with the size that large, it's really important that we are still one unit, that we're still one culture within the fraternity. So from the beginning of the year, we wanted to leverage the strengths of each member of our chapter. So now that we're coming into this situation where we don't have a lot of control or oversight or connection with the brothers, our number one priority has been connecting one another. So delegating the responsibilities of the fraternity is basically my entire job, and overseeing every brother, because I think that every brother can still be a leader in what we're doing and charging forward, whether it be in our recruitment goals, which, the foresight has to be pretty far out at this point because we don't know what's going to happen. So preparing for that has been a huge priority for our vice president of recruitment. Philanthropically, we've also been working to try to get some kind of service together, and just bringing the brothers together behind that vision that we already were in full swing of achieving. And I think that that's mainly come through just clear and concise communication with the membership about why we do things. And that's always my objective. Is it's easy to say that we're doing this, we're doing that, and talk from a soapbox. But if I can still clearly communicate the underlying mission or the values that we have and why they support everything that we do, then I think people have been able to latch onto that and be motivated to keep on going and be a brotherhood, even though we're so far and spread across the country and the world right now.
Great. Yeah, and I know that drive has really been important to keeping things moving forward and trying to make sure that guys understand that, just because success might look a little different for us now doesn't mean we can't still have a successful year, right? Which is great to see. And AJ, I know you and I have talked a lot about really what success looks like next year, right? And I think you've really been focused pretty intently on what the chapter needs to be doing to set yourselves up for success in the fall. So maybe talk to me a little more just about what are some things you guys are doing and looking to next year, and what are some of the ways that you're getting guys focused, even though there's a lot of indecision, we don't know necessarily what's going to happen, but how are you getting guys excited for the fall?
So are you asking specifically about recruitment, more, or just general morale?
Yeah, I think probably getting them focused on recruitment primarily, but also getting them excited to come back to the chapter and be engaged in the chapter.
Sure. Okay. So the way we see it, this is probably the most crucial year of Rush our chapter has seen in a very long time, if not ever. And that's the way, I mean, every chapter should be thinking like that. In the wake of the pandemic, we're preparing for a drastic decline in our enrollment, especially at Bradley, which subsequently means less PNMs and people going through formal Rush. We're also preparing for the possibility that formal Rush might be changed or even removed in the fall. Illinois, we still have our stay-at-home order, and things are really up in the air. Our government seems to be erring on the side of caution, so we really don't know what's going to happen. Our plan is and has been to continuously work on our Rush program and our chapter. We can't control what happens outside of the chapter, but we can control. But what we can control, we are improving. For example, we've come up with the amount of guys we want for the fall. This helps us to establish a precedent that we will be selective and only be taking individuals who deserve a bid. We're creating criteria of what qualities we're looking for in these individuals. For example, I mean, you guys probably hear this all the time. Everyone's a nice guy. When you're like talking about guys to give bids to, everyone's a nice guy. But in terms, when it comes down to extending bids, that doesn't help the chapter decide. But if we understand what we are looking for in the individuals, for example, like we want individuals to participate. We want someone who's interested in intramurals, is looking for academic assistance in their fraternal experience, and is excited to meet new people. That's much easier to work with, and it gets everyone in the chapter on the same page. Being a well-established chapter built on brothers who gave back to the chapter, one of our biggest concerns is always making sure we select individuals who will carry out those same attitudes and not want to simply just take from the fraternity. We've set up a Rush committee with an alumni advisor, and all of these things and more have been discussed ad nauseum. So when we return in the fall, we can get the chapter to unify under one goal, and very importantly, and more importantly, to be specific with that goal.
Awesome. Great. Good stuff. An interesting thing that you guys have talked about in some of these conversations has been, almost kind of a silver lining here has been seeing a unique engagement with alumni and kind of a unique opportunity to connect with some of your alumni in some different ways. So would love to hear some thoughts from anyone who might have some thoughts to share about how you've connected with your alumni or how your alumni have been more involved, and what that's looked like for you throughout the last couple of months. So anybody want to jump in on that first?
Sure, I'll jump in. All right, so yeah, our alumni are really the core of our success. I've always maintained that because the reality is in our chapter, every 4 years we have a totally new set of people coming in and exiting. So they're the thing that ties us to the history, and whether it be pretty or not, the different challenges that we've had in the past, all the way back to our reorganization in 2015. It allows us to keep a perspective on challenges that we've seen in the past, and it makes it easier for us to reiterate that even though this is a bump in the road for us, they are always willing to hop in and help us in all areas. Like AJ said, their alumni are helping them with recruitment. We've had similar blessings from our alumni where they step in and they can give that more adult and long perspective that helps us stay as a unit, because the reality is our chapter isn't just the guys that live in the house. It's everybody that's been in there since 1915 is still within the chapter. So we're going to make it through it, and that's part of the motivation that I think brings the undergraduate chapter together now.
Great. Thanks, Cole.
I guess I'll jump back in. So a lot of exciting things actually have transpired recently in terms of our alumni. First, we were able to successfully send out the first Bradley DU alumni newsletter, which had a majority focus on alumni from different generations and their stories. This was different than our undergraduate alumni newsletter, which started last year as well, or not as well, excuse me. That started last year, and it served entirely as an undergraduate chapter update. Hopefully I'm making that distinction clear enough. This was sent out, the DU alumni newsletter, the one we just did, was sent out to over 800 alumni, and we actually received an over 50% rate of people that opened it and read it, which is really exciting to see. Following that, we were also able to host, I co-hosted a meeting for our alumni from the 1960s. We were able to get 20 brothers to join the call, which was outstanding. These guys hadn't seen each other, some of them in 40 or 50 years. And this was, I mean, it was really nice to see. We've also done one for the 1970s, and we plan on doing more for like the 80s, 90s, and so on. This also served as a reminder to our alumni for our 75th anniversary that's coming up next year. And it was great to see these guys fired up to come back to see the chapter.
That's great.
Yeah, and I'll kind of close it off, kind of echoing what both of these gentlemen have kind of been talking about. You know, the pour in from our alumni has been amazing. Our chapter, like I've kind of talked about, is only 10 years old. So the number's a lot smaller. Our chapter size isn't as big, you know, hovering around 30 to 40 guys. So that dynamic's a little different. That's just kind of the nature of our school being a smaller university. But it's been really awesome. I've got to meet most of, if not all of our founding fathers over the last couple weeks. And they've only been out of college for, you know, 9-10 years now, or roughly in that range. So they're not really all that much older than us. Them hopping back in, and we've set up various different video game tournaments and stuff like that. And it's been really interesting to see that they are so similar still. And sometimes in interacting with each other, they bring out their college side. So it really feels like they're just an upperclassman or like a super senior rather than a graduate who graduated 8-9 years ago. And then also another point that we've kind of tried to hit on is a lot of our alumni are pretty successful in the industry. You know, being from Embry-Riddle, a lot of our undergraduates go off to do big things in the engineering or aerospace or airplane industry. You know, I'm a history major, so it really doesn't apply to me all that much. But the bulk of our guys are smart math and science guys. So really getting to have these guys come back in. You know, some of our founding fathers, they work for Amazon. They have different flight programs. So getting them to talk about what their job has been like prior to the virus outbreak, and then even now with the changing flight patterns, it's been really awesome to give our guys a pretty good insight of what the industry is looking like and what it's going to look like moving forward, because I know a lot of things are going to be changing for the long term. So a lot of professional development, and then, you know, just getting to check in with them. A lot of them have not updated their contact information, so they have their like school email listed still in our directory, and those get deleted, you know, as soon as you graduate. So we've been really working on the outreach via the Facebook chat, and just kind of trying to outreach and since we have the time, take it to have these conversations. I've been on phone calls pretty much every day the last couple of weeks with different alumni for about an hour here and an hour there, and they've just been, you know, very curious about where the chapter's gone, and then they've given some stories from what they used to do. And it's kind of like AJ was talking about with their 75th coming up. We have our 10th coming up, so it's been kind of a wave of energy that's pushing through the active chapter and really getting us amped to come back in the fall.
That's great. Thanks, Gavin. You know, actually, I was just on a meeting this morning. We were talking about some new membership development programming that we want to put together. And one of the things we were talking about is trying to get some resources together around better engaging alumni on the chapter level to do kind of some of that, like a career night, right? Like a little career coaching, get folks talking about like different career interest areas and stuff, be able to connect with people in different industries. So cool to see that you guys are making that happen. So that's exciting. All right, so I've got one last question, and I'll put this out to anybody on the call here. So we'll put everybody on the spot, anybody that wants to answer. But, you know, I think clearly it's been a challenging couple of months, and one that, has had its ups and downs, and clearly we have guys that are working hard and fighting through it, right? And within that, there's obviously going to be points as a chapter president where you're going to hit that wall, right? And you're going to, something's not going to go right. You're going to get that bad news, or you're going to, kind of go down the rabbit hole of negative thoughts for the fall, and feel like, what are we doing here? It's all falling apart. And kind of start to question yourself as a leader, right? So what would be your advice to that chapter president that, when you hit that hard spot, right? When you hit the point in the game where, like, I don't know if we can make this happen, how do they fight through that? How do they keep going? How do they get that to a place where they can be successful?
Yeah, I mean, I can chime in on that one a little bit. For those of you that probably don't know this, maybe AJ does from President's Academy, but I was loss prevention for my chapter the year before this, where I took over in January. And while I was loss prevention, we actually went under investigation, and hearing that news, kind of echoing what Noah was just saying, like, hearing that news, you immediately go down the rabbit hole. And for lack of better words, when shit hits the fan, it's not the best. And it takes a lot to get out of it, but what you learn coming from it about yourself beyond the fraternity is massive. And that's a big reason why I stepped into this position and wanted to do it. And I would just tell you, motivation for someone, if any of you are going through those kind of mental state, once you come out on the other side, it will be one of the most gratifying and motivating things that you will have in your college career. And I still think that's one of the best lessons I've learned beyond anything I've learned in any of my classes during my time at Cal Poly. But yeah.
Thanks, Ryan.
I guess one thing I could say is there's like a lot of quotes about how inaction is worse than taking action, even if what you decide to do isn't the best case scenario. I think now more than ever, it's really easy to just lay low and not do anything because members aren't thinking about the fraternity. There's really no accountability because we're not on campus, or the ones that are, like, you're still really, it's not the same. So I would just challenge everyone to make sure that they're still trying to push their fraternity forward, push their chapter forward. Even if you're not 100% sure it's going to work, it's doing something. It shows effort on your part. It shows that you care. It'll fire up the guys. And more than likely, it'll probably amount to something good anyway.
Thanks, AJ.
Yeah, I would say being chapter president isn't easy. It's never really going to be easy. I tell everybody that wants to run for the position, but just because something's hard, it doesn't mean that you have to be hard on yourself. I always, whenever I am struggling or in a situation like Noah described, where you're in a challenging situation or the brothers are pushing back on you or just the general world is crashing down like it is now, I think it's important to remember why we do what we do. Why did you run for the position that you're in? What objectives did you have for yourself at that point? What expectations did you have for the people that served before you? And how can you be that person still today and motivate yourself with what you know you want to do and what you want to achieve for the fraternity? Because we will survive. There's nothing that's going to stop each of our chapters from just charging forward, as long as the leaders can just take a step back, have a moment of reflection, and then just keep on pushing forward. Like AJ said, inaction is just the worst possible scenario that we could have now. So maintaining any kind of chapter operation you can, including the position that you hold as a chapter president, is critical right now, and we can all do it as one group.
Yeah, and I just wanted to echo a couple of those things. I'm wired a little differently. I'm a part of the ROTC program out at Riddle, So I internalize things a little different. There's this thing we do in ROTC. It's called turning the dial on someone. So as a leader, you get put into situations where you feel comfortable, you're acting strongly, you're getting everything done. The people above you will start to crank that dial and put you into a more uncomfortable situation to see how you react. Because in those uncomfortable situations, that's where you stop, thinking, you get out of your head and you just start taking action, kind of like the quotes that we've been mentioning. And that's really what you see. That's when you see like the real internal leadership qualities that you have that you might not known were there come out. So I'm a weird person in the sense that I kind of welcome challenge. It kind of excites me. Like Cole was saying, the presidency position is not something that's an easy position. Had I known, what was going to be going on for our chapter this semester, I would have better prepared myself. It seems like every week something pops up. But like kind of what Ryan was saying, once you get over that hurdle, it feels amazing. Like just looking back on the one semester, which has been, cut in half by this virus, and seeing the work that myself and my young executive board has kind of gone through to change the culture of the chapter, where we've been, bottom of the campus on recruitment numbers, only getting 3-4 guys, just a little bit below average. Our grades kind of slipped. To see that we're making active strides to change the things we can, like the tangible things, like I talked about earlier, that's just really exciting. It's very rewarding as a leader. And I think it's resonated with a lot of our guys, just seeing that they're actively making some change on campus, and to the Greek life community as a whole. That's kind of what I've been echoing to our guys. We might not be a Fiji or a Sigma Chi or a Delta Chi, but we're, all fraternal brothers at the end of the day. So whatever we can do to continue building our community as a Greek community, because I know we get scrutinized all at the same level, doing what we can to reach out to them, continue to keep those relationships strong is really going to ensure that when we come back in the fall, we're going to be kicking ass and taking names, doing everything we can to continue the momentum that we've kind of created over the last couple semesters. And at the end of the day, stuff happens. You really have to look at the stuff that excites you and makes you passionate about what you do, kind of like what Cole and AJ and Ryan have been highlighting throughout this. So I'm just really excited to be in the position I'm in. I know a lot of the other brothers that are here that are presidents definitely love the position. I recommend all of my brothers to take some VP position, because it is so rewarding to see, something that you had thought up in your head come to fruition and see some sort of result. So that's kind of what we've been pushing out here in Daytona Beach.
Great. Thanks, Gavin. It's good stuff. Well, I don't know that I could provide any better closing comments than that. So, I would just, before we wrap it up, I would just offer it up. Anybody have anything else that maybe any final comments they would like to offer? Any questions or anything else for the good of the group?
I was actually thinking about kind of what Cole and Gavin were saying, and this thought popped in my head. We may feel alone as leaders right now, like everyone feels like that sometimes, but we shouldn't forget that we were voted into these positions. People believe in our chapters, believe and trust in us to do the right thing. And I think it's important that we remember that more now than ever.
Definitely. Thank you, AJ. Yeah, I think that's probably a good note to wrap this up on.
Dikaya.
Excellent. We can sing Hail Delta Upsilon after the recording. But definitely appreciate all the insights. I think, it's clear that guys have been working hard. It's exciting for me to see people remain so focused on, their goals as leaders, but also then really ultimately their brothers, right? Making sure that their brothers are taken care of and supported and okay. And ultimately able to continue to be successful, right? So really appreciate you all joining us tonight, and excited to see what you all will be doing next. And with that, we will sign off. Thank you.
Thank you.